Hey everyone, this is Julien from Memory Cards, and today I'm playing Assault Spy. NIS America was nice enough to send us over a review code for this game. I've played about 2 hours so far. This is like a brawler arena combat game with an anime influence, as you can see. And so yeah, I'm just going to jump back in. I'm playing as Asaru right now, and I'll show you a bit of the gameplay. This is an early access game. It's available on Steam. But it being early access certainly shows in certain parts of the game. Let's get into the combat right away. So you're playing as, I'm playing as Asaru. You are a salaryman slash a spy. A salaryman, someone who spends their time in the office all the time working, clearly by a briefcase being my weapon. So the combat in Assault Spy is pretty straightforward. It's what you can expect from this type of game. You have a heavy attack with the B button. I'm using an Xbox controller, a retro style Xbox controller. You have a heavy attack with the B button and a light attack with the Y button. You can also hold down the Y button and throw these business cards that explode, kind of like Gambit style. And then you use all these in conjunction with movement to create combos and defeat your robotic enemies. The enemies in this game are all these robots designed by Negabot Corporation, I think, and their designs are pretty weird. These ones to me look like they're walking cell phones, almost like a walking iPhone. This one has a shield and a gun. They're pretty odd looking for sure. I'm not sure what their design ambitions were. Negabot Corp, not the developers of the game. Well, I guess they're one and the same, right? Let's see if we can knock these guys out with our business card. Take them out. There we go. So, for me, a fighting game like this, the most important thing, I think, is that there's weight to the combat. There needs to be a certain level of heaviness to it. When you smack an enemy around, you need to feel that connection. And I'll use Super Smash Brothers as an example. In Super Smash, a different type of game. It is an arena combat game, 2D, of course. But in that game, you have your light attacks and then your like smash attacks. Light attacks, when you hit an enemy, sometimes you don't feel like there's a lot of weight there. It's a very light attack, and that's okay because there's a good balance between those as well as the heavy attacks. Why is this see-through? That's horrible. Very, very scary. Can I just walk along the edge here? I can. I'm not sure if that I'm supposed to do that, but I'm going to use that to my advantage. And this game has good weight to it. There's a good amount of heaviness when you smack an enemy with your briefcase, especially if you're playing with vibration on. It's important. And when you're doing these long arena based combat, when you can spend 5-6 minutes in a certain area fighting enemies, you want there to be a good rhythm to it, and you want to be able to feel like you're smashing your enemies, like there's a real connection, there's force behind your punches. And this game does a good job of that. It really does. All right, let's refill our health at this vending machine. And here is a upgrade. Did my health just fly off the side here? I think it did. This is a upgrade station. If I can activate it, you can... Why am I not getting the prompt to... See, this is the early access stuff I'm talking about. I should be able to use this to buy new combos and upgrade my character with new attacks and stuff like that, but for some reason I'm not getting the prompt to do that. And I've noticed that previously in the game, is that there's been areas where you need to talk to someone and the prompt just isn't appearing, and clearly you're supposed to be able to activate that here, and it's just not working. So there you go, more early access stuff. And I will say that there has been moments, okay, just gonna fly right off the side there, where that early access has shown. Okay, what, really? This is just an area where you just slide right off. I've noticed graphical issues. I've noticed core gameplay failing when it shouldn't be. I mean, it shouldn't fail at all, and I've noticed that. But this game is in early access, so you have to remember that and keep that in mind and reserve some judgment until the finished product is released. But they certainly need to do some improvement on just core mechanics, balance, everything. They could all use an upgrade. One thing that I really think that they should keep in mind are well, there's two things really. Is let's see if we can just knock Rocket Launcher Man off. Okay. Great. We can call in our buddy Kyoko here, who acts as a distraction. We'll see if we can sneak up behind. All right, that did not work. This area is really tricky. There we go. Just walk up behind him, and we get the game over. So, like here, I'm stuck in the ground. I can't move. I have to prompt it. That shouldn't be happening, but it is. So two things that I think they need to work on in this game are the camera. So right now the camera is manual. You move it. I'm using a controller, so I move it with the right stick, and I have to do that myself. It's not automatic to any degree. In a lot of fighting games, there's a certain level of automation with the camera. It kind of positions itself behind you and stays that way. In this game, it's entirely manual. You have full 360 control for the most part, but it could be bothersome when you're in combat and you're trying to adjust it. You can end up losing track, and your enemies can end up behind you and you don't see them. And another issue with the camera is tracking enemies in the first place. In most fighting games, there's a tracker, right? And it's usually a toggle. So a game like Dark Souls, for example, I think in Dark Souls you use the right stick. You press it down and it locks onto an enemy, and it stays locked on until you choose to unlock it, or the enemy moves far enough away, or whatever. There's reasons why it would unlock. But in this game, you use the right trigger to lock on, and you actually have to hold it down. And I can't remember playing a fighting game where I've had to lock on to an enemy and maintain that button press to stay locked on. And that's the case with this game. And that's one of the things they definitely need to work on. And now I'm going to add another one in here to my list. They need to remove this fucking part of the game, because this is just annoying. Sliding off. I mean, there's in a game that is going to propel yourself forward with combos like that, and have it be like a very combo centric game where you're moving all over the place. Having these tiny two steel beams just doesn't work. And when you've spent the previous 2 hours of this game dashing around the screen very freely and not having to worry about it, having this thrust upon you all of a sudden is not enjoyable. See, like, that shouldn't be happening. I should have more space there. This is, I don't know. They need to make these platforms bigger or something. And these guys are a pain in the ass. Okay. See if we can finish him up. There we go. And another thing is that the color of this game, and obviously it takes place in like this corporate environment, and most corporate environments that we're used to and is true to life is that they're very gray, they're very drab, very dull, and that such is the case with this game. It is very gray. That's the dominant color used. A lot of the enemies are gray. All the buildings, all the set pieces, everything's gray. I mean, these have shots of blue and red to them, but for the most part, they're gray. And so I think this game would benefit greatly from some color splashes. You know, maybe make some of the enemies neon, or just add more color to the environment. Especially in a game that is anime like based and anime centric and derives influence from animes and its humor and its everything. I think it would benefit greatly from color. And certainly we can appreciate dull colors and monotonous colors used in an artistic way, for sure. But my personal opinion is that I think this game would benefit from a little bit more color. And another thing I think that they could add that would be appreciated would be just a little bit more variance to the game. Enemy types have been relatively the same for the first few hours. Cones and these iPhone robots, seen a lot of those. And of course, we just, in this area, got introduced to these drones. More enemy types would be cool, and I'm sure that's something that they'll work on. Can I not get back to the platforms from here? There we go. That was tricky. And then I think that more interactivity with the environment would be great, and not in a negative way. Like, I don't want an environment like this where I'm constantly having to worry about falling off the edge. I think that there is room for that, but what I mean by interactivity in the environment is adding more things in which I can directly interact with. Maybe items I could pick up from the ground that I can use against the enemies. Maybe I could pick up something and throw it, or I could throw an enemy into an item, or part of the environment. Beyond just like destructibility of walls and items and objects. I think there could be a little bit more variance in that. So this is where Assault Spy is right now. There are some early access indications that you'll run into, environmental issues, graphical issues, just general bugs that you'll experience, but nothing that really takes away from the experience of the game. It works. There are just some things that the devs obviously need to fix and improve over time. And that's where it's important that we let them know. I mean, I certainly am going to come back to the devs and say, hey, I played a few hours of your game. This is what I've experienced so far. And it would be great if you've played or you just watch this video and have an opinion based on that. If you can let me know in the comments what you think of Spy Assault, and I can pass any of that information along. So again, Spy Assault out now, early access on Steam. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, and just comment. Let me know what's going on, and I'll see you in the next video.